Hello, everyone. Welcome to the eCommerce podcast. It's been long overdue, but finally we're here with the season one. I'm your host, Martin Lopnar, and today we're thrilled to have a remarkable guest whose extensive experience and innovative insights have contributed to shaping the retail and e-commerce landscape at companies like Kodak, Buell Brands, Walmart, and now finally RICOH. Joining us today is John Andrews, the Strategic Account Director for Retail Co-Innovation at RICOH USA. John, welcome to the eCommerce podcast. We're absolutely delighted to have you here to share your insights and experiences with us.
Thank you, Bert. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
I love it. I'm really happy that you accepted the invite. You're one of the first 15 guests joining us so far. So I appreciate the support and I appreciate the synergy here. I'm sure we're going to have a fine conversation today. But first, I want to ask you about your personal journey, of course. I want to highlight a few milestones that caught my attention, if I may.
Okay, sure.
Because once I look at your career and once I look at some of the conversations we had in the past months, I can easily see that your career is mostly dedicated to transforming retail through some cutting-edge technology and also strategic innovation, which I'm sure you're going to talk about what you're doing right now. So I know this. What I noticed in the journey before your current role at RICOH, you served as the co-founder of 𝐭𝐡𝐢𝐬𝐬, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you spent a decade almost specializing in revolutionizing the retail marketing and consumer experience there. But before that, you had founded Collective Bias, kind of a pioneer in leveraging creator content at scale, and which was successfully acquired by Inmart 2016. Am I right?
Correct.
And before than that, what I also love about that Walmart emerging media team, which you were a part of, you were truly instrumental in integrating social media and community engagement to enhance the consumer shopping experience, which we cannot talk enough of today, which you were doing probably more than a decade ago. Are those some of the good milestones that you were also touching upon today?
That is it. That is it. I'm surprised you missed my my early career as a Domino's pizza manager, though.
Really? Okay. Okay. I didn't scroll down on their LinkedIn.
Yeah, it's like
3 pages down.
At the bottom, right?
Okay.
Right.
But now, fast forward today, you currently lead the co-innovation efforts at RICOH, helping the global retailers overcome their business challenges and enhancing their efficiency, creating some exceptional customer experience. Is that right?
So specifically, I work within our retail vertical, and I work with large retailers to solve kind of their biggest problems today, right? So you and I talk about it online, we talk about it with other people. You know, retailers have some big problems that they're big challenges that they face today. They always do. Probably the biggest today is people, right? Right. And finding people, keeping people, training people, retaining people, all of those things is hard for retail.
Of course.
And it causes, a cascade of problems. So, if you think about what RICOH does, we're a workflow automation, we're a document and information management company. And we spend a lot of time helping people think about spending less time managing, finding, extracting information from documents, be those digital or physical documents, and managing those, turning a lot of those processes into either automated or automated assist type activities. So my job is to really work with these retailers to find some of these things that we can help them in their digital transformation journeys to make their lives easier so they can spend more time working and helping with customers and less time managing and moving documents, right? If that makes sense.
That transformation acceleration is the reality of our decade, and I don't think it's going to slow down anytime soon.
Well, if you think about today, think about AI. Everyone's talking about AI, and so I'm surprised it's 3 minutes and it's the first time we mentioned it. So but the juice, the fuel of AI is data, right? It's eating more data. They're talking about with the next version of, ChatGPT or some of the large, Claude, some of the large language models, that there's just not going to be enough data to train the engine. The ChatGPT 4 used all the data in the world, basically. I mean, I get, but not really. It really used the entire internet. So think about all the data that's still locked and created and transferred in paper on a daily basis. In our lives. We're one of the leaders of optical character recognition in the world. We just bought a new German firm that's in that space. There's a lot of data sitting around that companies have that they're going to want access to turn their AI engines into that. So just examples of things that I think on a daily basis we're trying to help people think about and co-innovate kind of solutions for retail.
No, that's fascinating. And to your point, the amount of data we're sitting on and the amount of data we're not capitalizing or leveraging is tremendous. And I think there's going to be an ocean to explore in the coming years. And I'll be surprised if each one of us don't have our own 10 individual custom-built GPTs just to save 1 hour on each day, let alone save how
it's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
I was just having a lunch conversation yesterday with a gentleman about this on my personal GPTs that I use to help me in my daily activities, right?
Yeah.
And setting them up to do things or just, some fun things, telling a GPT to act as a local tour guide for my upcoming trip to Rome. And you are a local, so tell me where the locals would go. I don't want to tourist stuff. I can walk 5 to 7 miles and design me a trip, right? Design me a walking day in Rome,
Well, you don't need to get your own audio guide in Vatican Museum. You're going to use GPT. Perfect.
Right. I mean, and help me. I don't want to go to the Vatican and I don't want to go to the Colosseum and I don't want to do any tourist stuff. I want to do what a local would do. And I want a mindset of my guide to be that, bam. And it spits out a complete day for me in these little places. I'm very excited.
That sounds interesting. I should have tried that. Instead of John or Mert, we can go as a Gianluca.
Yeah. No, why not?
Yeah, exactly. All right, I'll try this. So I hope we have a lot to cover and we'll discuss a little bit about this. But first, with your own words, now we're talking about the Career Chronicles segment of eCommerce podcast. And I want you to walk us through with your own words about your career project, where you see synergies and opportunities ahead and where you see your advantages, your experiences can help you and others like me and everybody else listening to us help them catch those.
Sure. I think about this a lot. I was a classically trained kind of brand manager person. I graduated when I got out of business school. It was really a traditional brand role. I graduated business school in '97. That's a couple of years ago.
Looking great.
And I worked for Hanes Brands, was my first role. And I was an associate brand manager or whatever my title was, on legs pantyhose, right?
Okay.
So think about this. Probably the best job you could have as a marketer is marketing a product that you don't personally use or understand, right? Because you don't bring any of your personal bias into it. You're just using data, right? So we had IRI and Nielsen that would tell us everything we really wanted to know about the category. The category is climbing about 10% a year. When I joined, women are like, nope, we're not wearing this anymore. We're out. This is not part of our thing. So we're managing that. But that was right in the teeth of Walmart's growth phase, right?
Right.
And Walmart really wanted to bring value. You think about what Walmart does, I think, better than anybody else. is they bring value. People think about it being cheap or something. It's not. It is providing a great value. So they were really pushing us at the time to bring value plays, multi-packs, right? And they gave us, like 12 linear feet of new space to put in multi-packs. And I helped work on and launch that program. But to be able to do it, I had to really use that IRI and Nielsen data to really understand what the customer was doing and what they wanted. And that is probably the thing that served me best throughout my career, is thinking about, okay, hey, AI is wonderful, right? It does all this stuff. What does a customer need, right? Probably not another chatbot.
Talk about what value are they looking for, right?
Yeah, and I probably, if I need if I need a chatbot in a store, guess what? I got one right here in my pocket, and it's really good. It's called Claude or ChatGPT. It works really well. It'll tell me anything I want to know, right?
True.
And so from that experience, I was really able to I was a brand marketer probably for about the first 10 years of my career, with Hanes, with Newell, with a small company that brought us here to Raleigh, where I live today, called M+. And M+ was a little footwear accessory man. It was more of a startup brand. If you think about a brand journey, when I joined, probably about $25 million in revenue. And we sold very, very sexy products. We sold shoe inserts, right? So you think about it.
You almost got me there. Okay.
Can you think of a better category? I mean, it's awesome. Guess what? So I joke. One of my good friends was the head of international sales for M+, and he says, "Yeah, if I'm ever on an airplane and I don't want somebody to talk to me, I just tell them that I'm a insole salesperson, and that it instantly ends the conversation.
I have my sleep and privacy."
But again, another place where data matters. The interesting thing about that category is if you go to any store today, anywhere in the world, where there is footwear and or hosiery sales, there will be a shoe care and shoe accessory category, right? Doesn't matter from Dollar General to Nordstrom and everything in between. Absolutely is. Yeah, there are footwear accessories, and they're because when you buy shoes, you buy footwear accessories, you buy insoles, you buy laces, you buy polish, you buy protector. And it's a super high margin category. So if you're a company like Foot Locker, you sell a pair of shoes, you make, 30 gross margin, 35 gross margin on that sale, right? Maybe. You make 70 or 80 on selling somebody a shoe spray protector, right? So you can double your penny profit by selling an easy ad. So again, just data. So we set about in our business to think about how to make the category effortless for the retailer. So we provided a completely vendor managed inventory program. We built a program to take the pain out of managing, because it's a lot of SKUs and a lot of things. We're like, we'll manage it.
Massive. Yes, catalog should be massive.
But we created, we contracted with third-party vendors to manage it in store. They didn't even have to use their employees to manage it. It's effortless, right? For the retailer, and effortless for the customer, because the merchandising was always perfect. Yeah. Think about when you walk into a Walmart, Frito-Lay or Pepsi, Frito-Lay, they took that model to its extreme, right? So if you think about Gatorade and Gatorade's growth, and think about the chip aisle and say they always look perfect, and they're always merchandised and stocked completely. They're never out of stock.
They create an instant experience within the store. Yeah,
but their third party they manage that inventory. They make it easy for Walmart and for Kroger, and they make it very easy because They don't have to put labor into it. They don't have to worry about their inventory levels. Pepsi Frito-Lay does all that for them, right? And so therefore, the customer, the shopper is always has a better experience because the products are in stock. They're merchandised nicely. They build mirrors. You ever walk into, a holiday season, there'll be massive, football stadium displays made out of Pepsi. Yeah, right. So that's thinking about what is the customer problem and what is the shopper experience in that merchandising play. And I love that. I love that part of the business.
And don't forget the brand management part, which is the core of your rules, like that brand messaging and seamless execution of brand messaging without delegating to the retail employees is also crucial.
Because who cares more about your brand, Walmart or you?
Oh, of course, the brand team.
Your brand team does.
Sure. Move mountains to keep the branding messaging intact.
But I think too often the branding stays on the brand management part is thought about the packaging and the messaging and the marketing and all that stuff. You will lose it if you lose the rest of that journey and then post purchase. My business partner, Ted Rubin, and I talk about a lot of times when the most brands fall down and lose the customer is post-purchase, right?
Right.
I have a problem. And you can really find out what a brand's made of when you have a problem with it, right? And if you think about what I love, and I think a lot of people love about Amazon today is I don't ever have a problem. If I have a product that I got from Amazon, I don't have a problem because what happens? I say, hey, I got a problem. And they say, great. Here's a refund. By the way, don't even send it back because it costs us more to process.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Or send it back. We'll send you another one, or here's a refund. No problem. Right? Solved. Right? So that's why so much. That's why so many customers default to Amazon as their e-commerce solution because they know there's not going to be a problem.
One thing interesting now I'm thinking as you walk us through the journey, because we opened up the conversation about the tremendous amount of data and the companies like RICOH and your team helping the bigger retailers to help leveraging the data. And now we're getting into the crux of the brand and brand messaging and brand experience at the consumer end. Where do you see today the biggest challenge for the global brands where they have massive reach, massive scale, and good market share, but still not able to excite the consumer like 2 decades ago, 3 decades ago, when they launched the brand or when the brand were in their heyday? Why do you see the biggest challenge today in terms of capitalizing this data? Because they also have a tremendous amount of data, and retailers are monetizing a tremendous amount of first-party data. I get a lot of challenges and questions, but I want to hear your experience. What you see the biggest challenge on the brand side?
I think the challenge becomes that data is not going to solve your. You said something early in that conversation. How do you excite the consumer? Right? You can have all the data in the world, and I think one of the weaknesses that we have in the brand world today is so much of our data is focused on the lower part of the funnel, right? Yeah. And if you're spending, because we can measure it, we can see it, right? It's harder than the upper part of the funnel. I mean, it's harder to measure the upper part of the funnel. We can see the buy. I made an ad, somebody clicked on it, and they bought something, right? Okay, great.
Yeah,
I got it.
Easier to attribute.
Right, easier to attribute. So what happens though is, I feel like in some ways we've lost some of the beauty of branding. How do I excite the customer? Yeah. How do I get the customer interested in the product in the first place? So I'm not spending, because the challenge becomes, I forget who wrote about this. I want to say it's Mark Schaefer or somebody wrote about the attention deficit cliff of about 2018 when we crossed this line where humans were producing more media, more content daily than all the people in the world could consume. Right.
Okay.
So it's a simple. Maybe you think back to your economics 101 class. You've got a supply of content, right? And you've got a demand of attention, and there's not enough attention. There's too much content for the available amount.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So what happens? The price of attention goes through the roof, right? You have to spend more and more on Facebook or YouTube or whatever, Google, and whatever shopper media ads that to get less and less result, and it becomes unprofitable, right? Well, but what about brands that just have huge demand? You know, I was listening to a great article, listening to a great conversation this week on CBC, talking about how Hoka and OnCloud have really, taken a little bite out of Nike. Well, I don't think I've ever seen a Hoka ad. If I have, I'm not aware that I've seen one. Maybe I have. I'm not on cloud, but I see everybody at the gym wearing the shoes and telling me about the shoes, and they love
That's
these. Right? So
I've never thought about it when you're right. I don't remember any Hoka ad either.
Maybe I have, and I just didn't notice it because it's pretty easy to not notice an ad today, right? So, I think that. I think that we've got to, in some ways, get back to branding a little bit. And then I think there's also another challenge is we just have more things taking our attention now. There was a stat I was reading the other day. If you're under 25, you now spend more time. Your number one attention spent time is now in gaming, right? Especially for boys, right? So how do I break through to that shop, right? Oh, I'm gonna put a Gatorade ad or experience in the middle of your game, maybe, but I think it's a challenge. How do I get that person to pay attention? How do I get them excited? How do I get them, And so we've got to chat. And then, as we've gotten more and more supply of content, right? My wife and I, you may have this experience. We'll spend 25 minutes trying to figure out what we're going to watch in an evening because we've got Netflix and Prime and HBO and.
Well, that comes to my world because I was like this battle already. She me the remote and she says,
"Yeah,
call me when you're done with your browser."
I want an app that looks at my entire network and just picks and only gives me 3 choices. And then starts a countdown clock of like 90 seconds. If I don't choose one, it plays that. I can't change it. It's just that's it.
Based on a 2-sample data pool, I think we can agree that Netflix 𝐭𝐡𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐬 algorithm is not working effectively on.
Yes.
That's what we're okay.
No, it's funny that you say that because we were just talking. We're like, who are these movies for? These recommended movies.
But obviously, someone has bidded more on the thumbnail than our past browsing or past purchases. Now, I want to shift gears a little bit. I want to shift gears and jolt you with a trivial question. Are you ready?
Sure.
Now, this is our sponsor. Do you remember the first post you liked or you agreed from eCommerce? And what was it about?
And I do not know. I don't know. You know, though, don't you?
I mean, how can I know which post you liked and you agreed on?
I don't know because you sounded like you might know. So you.
No, I don't know. I wish I excited me. But I don't know if that's psyche capabilities or privacy technology yet. No.
I don't remember.
Okay, another question, another version of the same question. When you see any e-commerce post, are you more interested in the charts and the data portion of it, or are you more interested in the text and insights portion?
I'm always interested in the chart first.
I'd love to hear that.
I love the chart. right? I love the chart is what drives me in, because then I want to understand what the data is behind it. Right?
Great. Because I really spent some time on creating or modifying my own charts. I love it. And it gives me some morning energy to wake up, to refresh my mind. I love the feedback. Now,
Sure.
back to RICOH, back to the current role and the exciting projects you're working on. I know you're working with a brilliant guy, Carl Risden. I know him from his smart commerce days. But tell us about how you got your current role. What made you decide joining RICOH? How did it start to engage with your current role and current project?
So I came to work for Carl because I work. Smart Commerce was a client of mine in my consulting business. And
great team, by the way, great team. And
oh yeah,
real gentle.
He is, and Jennifer Silverberg, the founder of that company, is great. She's very, very smart.
Oh yes,
and has built a couple of great companies. But no, I was working with Carl. Carl had joined RICOH and we're friends, and he has family actually here in the Raleigh area. So he comes, we'd have a beer.
Yeah.
And like, what are you doing? He's like, man, we're doing some really cool stuff. I'm like, are you selling printers and stuff? Like, what are you doing? Like, what's your job? Right.
That was my question too, I guess.
Yeah. He says, yeah, of course. He says, we sell document management, document creation services, printers, scanners, best in the world. And he said, if you think about, this is where I really started thinking. He says, if you think about what we do, we are a company. He says, the bigger side of our business is actually a service. And we are a company with a great electromechanical workforce, right? So we have a great workforce that can fix just about anything that's electromechanical. He says, so think about all the things Carl had joined to build the retail vertical. Carl's got a long career in the technology, retail technology industry, right? So you think about things like theft detection and all the things that he's been involved in. He said, but now our teams are servicing robots. And we're beginning to build. In fact, we just opened a 3D printing lab here at NC State. It's an additive manufacturing lab. I was actually visiting with them this week. This is here in my backyard. And again, we are printing things like organs that a doctor can then examine before they operate on you.
Yeah.
So if you think about what the mindset of what RICOH is trying to do, it's trying to manage input and output of physical and digital information. That's it. So I'm excited by that. I joined Walmart very much for the same reason, because it was this big company and I knew that there would be interesting things to do there. And that's how, when I joined. I said, there's going to be some really cool stuff in there somewhere. And when I joined, social was just happening. So I'm like, how do we apply this? How is this relevant to our shopper, right? It's the same I think people are asking about AI today. It feels very similar today. How is this relevant to our shopper? How is AI going to
just figuring out the value? Yeah.
What does it mean to their journey and to their life? And, especially today when, I'm kind of the same challenge you have with media is I can get this Sharpie delivered to me, probably in the next hour from a bunch of resources, right? I could go DoorDash or Uber or somebody would bring me that, or somebody will deliver it to me, or I could just go get it, whatever. I've got I got an endless amount of choices. So Carl said, our job is to figure out what retail challenges are, really get under the hood of listening to what's the real problem, right? The real problem is not, I need a printer, right? That's not the problem. The real problem is I need some information to be managed for my customer, my shopper, my employee, whatever it is, in some way that is freeing them up to do tasks which are additive to the customer experience, not managing a printer. Yeah.
Exactly.
And he's like, part of what we need is people who understand the customer problem and the shopper journey to help with that. And then there were, when I joined, we were already building some very cool things. Our turnkey media platform, which is, a retail media screens as a service platform. So if you think about retail media within a store, right?
Yeah, I wanted to come to that. Is this the program you're currently managing or building?
So I did not build it. Our internal team built it.
Okay.
But what I do now is think about how do we position that to help the needs of our customer. And Carl and I laugh a lot because we talk about screen. If you think about retail media in store,
Right.
screens, and I was at Walmart when we did screens throughout the store. So I think a lot of people think about it and they're like, oh, great, we're gonna do ads in store and whatever. Great. Well, what does a shopper probably not need when they're in a store from a screen, right? Probably an ad about Cheetos, but we're going to do that anyway, right? But there was I forget who the speaker was at NRF this year. They had an entire retail media day the day prior to the conference. Right. And a speaker, since Carl and I were there together, and the speaker said, look, there's three things the customer needs from a screen in a retail environment, right? They need help. They need some kind of help me, assist me, launch me, whatever. They need navigation, help me find something or whatever. And they need some kind of promotion, conversion, loyalty, what
Exactly.
connection. And we both were like, that's it, right? So how is retail, how's our turnkey media platform delivering that for a shopper, right? And we work with a big retailer that we have this platform deployed. It has integrated merchandising, and it has a measure, to your point, attribution. It has a measured effect of the ability of this retailer to convert a specific category in a way that has given them a competitive advantage in the category. That's it, right? And their partners in this category, and I'm being a little opaque, but their partners in this category are very happy to have their media on this platform because they've got integrated merchandising, and so now you're solving a problem. But the problem you're really solving is what did the customer need in this category to be able to make a purchase decision or to influence a purchase decision. Right.
At the end, to your point, consumer needs three things you just listed: the help, the navigation, and give me some perks, give me some savings, and give me some loyalty, etc. But consumer wins at the end of the day, and retailers know best. Retailers knows how to make consumer win better than anybody else. And I think the solution you just described, utilization of AI and AR in the junction of retail media, is at the end, again, benefiting consumer more than the advertisers at retail. This is fast right to me.
Well, it's going to have to if it's going to be relevant to the consumer, right? And that to me, Ted and I wrote a book together called Retail Relevancy. And it talks a lot. We talk a lot about the fact that I think of what you're going to, how are people, I know what to expect when I go to Walmart, right? Actually, I don't know if you've been in some of their new their revamped stores lately. I was blown away. They just remodeled the store near my parents' house, and it was as nice, their fashion and some of the merchandising was like Macy's kind of quality.
Oh,
right. With Walmart value pricing, I'm like, very pleasant shopping environment. And I was just blown away because I was surprised and delighted by going in that store.
But
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought it up because I just wrote about this with the recent earnings report. Walmart shared about Q1 fiscal year. They're deliberately targeting higher demographics, higher income groups, which is not traditionally Walmart's target consumer. And in order to support that, of course, advertising and targeting higher demographics and higher income is not enough. You need to deliver the experience. And you need to,
The store has to match.
they're revamping the typical Walmart offering in store and online. It's a real good experience if you can catch a trajectory. Many people, but I just wrote about it on the financial earning. Unbelievable.
I got it. It's, it is. And you've got to think about all those touch points of the shopper's journey to be able to do that, especially today when I've got unlimited choice. I really can get, I'm kind of blown away. I'm a Nike fan. I don't know. I like Nike, right? And I haven't bought a pair of shoes in a store in 10 years. I buy shoes from the Nike app or from their sneakers app because they've got unique colorways. I don't want to see my colorway, somewhere else. And they've got other stuff. We have one of their transformational stores here now in Cary, which is it's a real interesting shopping experience. It's a Nike store, but and I actually just bought a pair of shoes and workout outfit there the other day when I went in and was really drawn into the experience, right? And it felt much more like a Lululemon, right?
That's not
which I shop a lot. I physically shop a lot. I don't buy Lululemon online because I want to go and I want to see the stuff.
Is it different than the rest?
Correct. This was a Nike Lululemon store. Is exactly. And what's interesting is it's about 4 stores down from a Lululemon. So it's definitely targeted at that.
I'm sure it's tactically chosen. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. So that's always interesting.
Back to the program about the retail screens and the hardware chain.
Yeah.
It's a hot topic. It's a trending topic. And I'm sure there is some challenge about explaining the value or bringing people on board, get the stakeholder buy-in. How do you communicate about the program or its benefits, opportunities of program, both for the company and the customer? Internally and externally?
Yeah. That's a great question. So I'm working with what I really like about what we do at RICOH. We have our core businesses that we're very good at. We also have, a multinational footprint. We've got a service organization that is capable of servicing the entire country. So we've got some competitive advantages that we can use, and we're very good about partnering with smaller companies that have great technologies to integrate into our technologies as well. So I'm working currently with a couple companies that are helping with create this expanded screens experience. So in our turnkey media, we really take the brand name seriously. It's turnkey. We install and service the screens. We have connectivity for the screens because a lot of retailers don't want you hooked up to their Wi-Fi because the Wi-Fi is in stores dedicated to the POS and to the customer and the customer, operations. We can carry the CapEx on the screen. So there's a lot of things that we're bringing to the table and solving some of the barriers. But then now take this further. We've added navigation into the screen. So VR and AR navigation. So you can go in and maybe I'm going to take you on a healthy eating journey in a grocery, right? So I could AR, VR guide you through the store, or I'm going to take you on a DIY. Yeah, right. A DIY experience at a home improvement retailer. So I'm going to guide you through the store. In that experience, we could add conversion. We can add expanded shelf. So you get to you get to the door section at a Lowe's or a Home Depot, right? They've got 8, 9 doors to choose from. Well, manufacturers probably have hundreds. So imagine you're like, okay, hey, this is a door. Well, what might be good for me? Well, hey, let me show you an endless shelf, right? And I'll convert that door for you. I'll have those doors shipped to your, I'll take care of logistics application to your house.
I just saw this, what you described. I just saw this virtual shelf of the limitless product manufacturers, and here Praxis apps about. And I was thinking the same thing to myself. How come I haven't seen this in Home Depot or Lowe's or any other hardware store? Years.
It makes sense. And then you think about live help. So I have questions. Great. Let me get you a Lowe's Red Vest to help you. And then, now I'm helping you have a better customer experience, choose maybe some unique doors for my house versus just the stuff that's on the floor. Still Lowe's. It's still the same experience,
All those Dr. Show platforms that you can customize your insole and shoe support.
Yep.
With your internal or interior or exterior door here in the Netherlands, you can customize the door the way you want it just on a screen. Amazing.
So I'll tell you a funny thing that you brought that up. You know who originated the Dr. Scholl's experience?
You or your former manager?
We did that at M+. We built those kiosks for the mid-tier environment, for the Foot Lockers and the Finish Lines of the world, and built a fit experience on a kiosk base. And then Dr. Scholl came out with their version for food, drug, mass, which is brilliant. It's amazing because they leveled up. If you think about that, probably the average selling price of an insole at food, drug, mass at that time was maybe $8, $10, $12, right?
Right.
So all of a sudden, you've now got a $20 and $30 insole that you can
70% gross margins, baby.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Exactly. So then think about this customer experience. Now I get home, right? I've got my doors. I'm DIY, right? I'm going to do this myself, but it doesn't fit, or I'm having a problem, whatever. I go right back to the experience. Hey, can you help me with this? And I'm showing you what I'm doing. And now Lowe's and Masonite or somebody, whoever the brand is helping me complete the journey.
Right.
Okay. That the door journey doesn't end until my door opens and closes and it doesn't stick, right? Then my journey is complete. So I think there's just so many opportunities today to think about, and all of that can be implemented as a retail media platform. So if you think about now, I can give you an ad, great. But what could I really do to help the shopping experience through retail media in the store? That's what I think the vision is and the place that we can go.
It makes perfect sense, and it benefits not only retailer and advertiser, also and also growing the basket size, growing the customer lifetime value makes perfect sense.
Right.
So now I want you to bring your crystal ball and share your thoughts or accurate forecast, whichever you prefer. Where do you see the biggest change in terms of digital business, digital workforce, people who is working in digital roles? Where do you see the biggest change? It could be positive change. It could be negative change. What do you see happening in the 5 years of digital business for digital color?
It's a great question. I think it's a big conversation today, right? Is AI going to take jobs or make jobs? Right? Is a big discussion. So I was at a customer experience conference a couple of weeks ago in Dallas. And it was interesting because there were a bunch of service providers there that I thought were very interesting, many in the customer service space, right? So they're providing customer service as a server, CS and AAS. Right. And I was fascinated with their business. So we're having a breakout session, and there's a gentleman talking about this who's very knowledgeable. He said, so customer service was one of the first places that AI was heavily implemented, right?
Right.
Because think about it, a customer service an AI can listen to our conversation and give the customer service representative prompts, information. Now it can even read, it can even listen to, but I'm getting angry, so maybe I need to, whatever, right? And you think about, I saw
A motion made.
well, I saw a really cool platform the other day that you and I are on. We're on a sales call right now, right? And it's reading your facial expression to understand if when the truck's buying signals are out. Right? I'm like, wow, that's crazy. So to a person, the customer service people said, we now employ more people than ever because we can be much more efficient because of the AI. So I can take a person who's a fine, perfunctory customer service person, and I can make them great because I am now prompting them in the conversation and adding into the conversation what's going on.
And how Amy said, with the AI, instead of replacing the human with
You're augmenting the human, you're making the human better, and you're also creating these massive data streams. So the AI can now learn from each call and get better and coach the rep to be better, right? And so I think, I mean, I'll be the first to tell you, I don't know. Because I mean, every day I'm a little blown away by what AI is doing. Creativity. I was watching the news this morning, and I forget what the company that just launched, but you can make your own animated movies and watch your own animated movies now. And I was like, wow, that's kind of cool. And they want to be the Netflix of make your own movie streaming. So you just design your own movie and then it creates it and shows it to you. I'm like,
okay.
That's interesting.
Oh, yeah.
So, but I do think the augmentation of people is going to make us all more productive and lead to higher level. It is going to dislocate people in specific jobs.
Right.
It's also going to replace there's a great developing service. You think about QSR. Hiring people for McDonald's, right? What's California minimum wage for quick serve now is what, $20 an hour, right? Yeah, still can't hire people. Still cannot hire people. So what is happening very quickly is you're seeing a screen-based rep who might be in the Philippines, who's a real person, now takes your order.
In digital domain, not in person.
Yeah. But, and I think the first time you might do it as a shopper, it's a little weird. And then you're like, oh, right. We get used to things very quickly, right? I don't know if you've been to one of the restaurants that has the robots that deliver your drinks or appetizers, or things now. But the first time you see it, it's like, oh, that's pretty cool. Then you've been a few times, and it's like, oh, there's robots running around the restaurant taking your drink.
There is a little HR managing the robot.
Right. We have a partnership with a company called Agility Robotics that you may have seen these. Spanx did a really great piece over the holiday, but they are they're anthropomorphic coat moving robots. So they're designed to work alongside humans in a distribution center, and they have one job, which is to pick up a coat and move it to another place. That's it, right? And what you'll see is one, that's a very hard job to hire for. Like who wants to move a tote from one place to another all day? You're eventually probably going to have some kind of injury, right? So you got an injury problem, and in fact, you can't fill those roles today.
It's a real problem. It's a real problem. Not only QSR, supermarkets, packing out products in the grocery or deli division, etc. There's a real challenge, and you cannot replace every single role with a digitized machine. Some roles still require human interaction. It will be interesting, but if you had to choose just two words to depict the future ahead of us, the short term, 5, 10, what are those two words keep echoing in the back of your head? For you, children may not.
I really think it's human augmentation. Human augmentation. Usually, our daughter goes to she goes off to college this fall, right? And I, over the summer, have created a curriculum for her for AI learning and knowledge. I just finished a 6-month AI bootcamp course with University of North Carolina. And I learned to code, I learned to build machine learning instances, and I learned to build, our final project is we built an interactive app that encourages people to walk and then talks to them as they're walking. So it's actually designed for older, there's a big loneliness crisis in America. So it's a walking companion. And we built it using ChatGPT API. And so it's, hey, Mert, did you walk?
Is it in GPT store? Can you share a link with us?
I can share. I'll share I'm going to publish the write-up that we did on it. I did a small post on it, but I'll share the write-up we did on it. We can't afford to run it because to pay for ChatGPT API is pretty expensive. So
I will share some more affordable alternatives with you on Slack.
So we were going to, of course. So if we were going to commercialize it, we'd want to train our own, our own model. But what was great was, again, I didn't know how to code before I started my course. I didn't know how to code. I sure didn't know how to build a machine learning, platform. And thanks to Microsoft Copilot, I can write amazing code with Python. I understand the basics, but I can make very complex code. Any machine learning I wanted to, you give me a pile of data and we can get after sifting it pretty well. And we can build some stuff. My classes, the guy in my class just reached out to me. He's like, hey, I want to commercialize this thing. We need to build some demos. We're gonna want your help. I'm like, okay, that sounds interesting. But I want our daughter to before she goes to school, because you think about 4 years from now when she graduates, right? The world is going to be a completely different place. And I think we would be remiss sending her to school in a role that exists today versus and I don't know what that role will be in 4 years, but I know it's going to include, it's going to include using many, many AI tools. So you need to know that now, right?
I 100% agree. And personally, I'm going to be open up to put myself in a vulnerable position here. I started losing my faith in 4 years bachelor's degree and 2 years full-time on-site master's degree programs. And it's not just my personal thought. I was at this Platform Strategy Summit at MIT 2022, July.
Yeah.
And there was a session. I was just listening as the part one of the audience. And the MIT X, Stanford, Caltech, Berkeley, Columbia, Harvard, all of them are promoting those micro certificates. And it take between 6 to 12 weeks, 6 to 16 weeks. And companies like Coke, L'Oreal, Adidas, Google, They're just looking for digital talent. To your earlier point, there's a need for digital talent who's experienced and knowledgeable enough today's technologies. And instead of waiting a 4 years bachelor's degree graduate, they will look like people to hire in the next month or so with 12 weeks, 16 weeks micro certificates who know how to solve one specific problem. And I've seen this. And to your bootcamp example, I also completed a couple of executive degree programs. And I see what coding skill in Python can do for our day-to-day in our jobs. So it's going to be a challenge for the Generation Z at Generation Alpha to be relevant and viable after a long term of education, where they start the journey and where they end up. But we'll see how it turns out. It's going to be a really interesting for me.
That's my concern for my daughter. Is really, how you get the skills you're going to need to adapt to, an uncertain. I couldn't begin to tell you what jobs you're going to need in 4 years. Right? No one can.
But one thing we're good at as Homo sapiens and human race, we're going to adapt no matter what. We're going to adapt. We're going to prevail. So as we come close to the gong, I want you to end it up with a funny anecdote about the current program you're working on. What is the funniest thing you and Carl laughed about while you worked the existing retail media visual display platform? What made you crack? Share one anecdote. Yeah.
It's a good question. I think it was really that, we spent a lot of time in New York when we were at NRF, laughing about the idea of, hey, I'm going to give you an ad when you go in a store, right? And I laugh about. I tell this story all the time. I'm a dedicated Harris Teeter shopper. Kroger banner.
Yeah,
we love Harris Teeter here in North Carolina. There's one. A third of a mile from my front door. I can walk there and get my groceries, and I do. So in that store, we have a couple of screens in the wine department, right? And they're talking about the terroir, the wine, and showing pictures of France and all this stuff. And we laugh about that screen all the time because I'm like, what the heck is this for? Like, it's just, and it's loud sometimes, the volume's always controlled. But I'm like, I got it. Wine, it comes from France and Spain and Argentina and whatever. Yes, I got it. It's not my first time drinking wine, we don't drink a lot of Josh here in the Andrews household, and so, I'm like, it's well-meaning. It's well-meaning. I get the idea. Intentions are good. Yes, intentions are good. But how in the world is that screen adding to the experience of me shopping for wine at Harris Teeter?
Okay, hopefully the retail media team of Harris Teeter will listen to us, and we're going to give more specialized feedback after the session, and maybe can come up with some ideas and recommendations. Who knows?
Something, but that's the thing that I think about most as I'm thinking about retail media within a store, because I really believe that we can do better than wine porn on in a wine section. If that's all we're going to do with retail media, then we need to hang it up because it's not very valuable.
John, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thanks for the time. This is a lovely Friday, and I was super happy to have you one of our guests first season of eCommerce podcast. And I'm looking forward to seeing all the news, all the updates, all the white papers you're going to share about that. And please say hi, Carl, to me. I'm going to reach out to him to make him one of our guests future.
I do too.
I appreciate the candor and I appreciate the conversation. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate it. I'm honored.
We'll talk to you soon, man. Take care now.
Awesome. Have a great day.
Bye-bye. You too.